Yeah, I came across some news on the potential cause of John Force's crash. Welcome to another episode of Gearhead, man. I'm Mark, your host. And this episode, I'm going to play a story I came across on the internet, a video news story talking about what happened or could have happened to John Force's funny car that caused the crash. Not sure the validity behind it. I've read a lot of different stories on what a lot of different experts think. And I'm assuming by now NHRA has released an investigation report, but usually those things aren't made public. And the first place they go is once they're released, the report, they send it to all the teams. So whatever happened to car A on team A, then all the other teams can make sure and look at their funny cars and dragsters and stuff on the same cause to see if maybe they're potentially could or will have the same issue, and they could be a heads up on it, which is pretty good. You know, you want to keep all the drivers safe, and if you learn something from one bad accident, definitely share it with all the other teams so they can, you know, be proactive and make sure those things won't happen to their driver and their cars and their equipment. So let's get started on this video, and then afterwards we'll talk more about it, some of the key areas, and then I would love to give feedback from all my viewers out there, what if they agree, if they think maybe something else, if they read or heard something else. We all can share it in the comments below. All right, let's get started.
The people who, I am going to hold back a good old-fashioned talk radio rant against the people who are even suggesting anything about John driving right now. Give us a break, please. And that's all I will say. However, I did say there's a lot of information. And Alan, you told me right before the show, like some questions can be answered here on WFO radio. Like Robert has this one. He goes, have they released a reason why the parachutes did not open on John's car yet? This is something that everybody wanted to know 1 minute later, right? Like, wow. Well, it sounds like you can share something.
I can. I spoke to Lonnie Grimm pretty extensively a week or so ago, and that was one of the questions. You know, the investigation starts immediately after any incident like that. What worked? What didn't work? Could we maybe do something better? Is there a rule? Is there a manufacturing change? Is there a something that we can do to try to make the next incident like this better? And why the parachutes didn't come out was a big question. And I spoke to Lonnie a little bit. They were able to determine very, very clearly why the parachutes didn't come out. Once that determination was made, the information was shared with the people who need to know, and that is people who race funny cars. This is what we found. This is the problem. Take a look at your car. See if there's something you can do. See if there's some way that you can potentially come up with a better system. And as happens so many times when we have an incident like this, it's something that's never happened before. So you look at the system and you think, okay, well, this is the way the system is designed. This is the way the system works. The system has performed flawlessly. So is there a need to update it? Well, now they found something that maybe there's a way to do it better. It's certainly being looked at. The bottom line is the system works pretty simply, and simple is better. The Leahy safety system on the box gets triggered one of three different ways. It can be triggered by the RF at the finish line. It could be triggered if it senses an engine issue, whether that be a pan pressure, whether that be a blower backfire, whether it will trigger the system. The system immediately sends a signal, opens a solenoid, sends a shot of air to an air cylinder, and an air cylinder operates and pulls the parachutes out. And I mean, milliseconds is how long this takes from the time it triggers until the time it happens. The parachute levers that the driver reaches, okay, let's say the levers are here, and at the end of the run, the driver will reach up and he'll just push the levers forward, and that brings the chutes out. Now, the air cylinder, the way that JFR had it set, the air cylinder is mounted here, and there's a piece of wire that runs from here to here. Simple as that. When the air cylinder is triggered, it pulls back. When it pulls the handles, it drops the parachutes. Again, simple is best. The more complicated you try to make it, the more things could go wrong. In this instance, when the engine exploded, in the milliseconds between when the system triggered and sent the signal, and the system did trigger, and the system did send the signal, and the air cylinder did activate. But in the split second, while all this was going on, the area between the two was compromised. So now the levers are so much closer that when the cylinder activated, it didn't pull far enough to get the parachute wires to come out of the pack, because this area of the car was compromised. So the cylinder was closer to levers, and therefore when the cylinder activated, it just simply didn't have enough pull. Never happened before. And we've seen how many times when, you know, something blows up, even when the body blows off or those things happen. So once that was determined, they went to the race teams, all the funny car teams, who are the people who need to know. I know that there's plenty of fans that are like, well, we want to know. I understand you want to. The people that need to know are the people that race funny cars. And they went to them and said, here's what we found. You need to look at your system. There is no black and white rule for how this works. Okay. There are a couple of teams that do it in different ways. It's just that when this triggers, it must deploy the parachutes. So they went to the teams and said, this is what we found. You need to take a look at your car. You need to see if there's anything that you could potentially do that you could change. Will there be a rule coming down, a mandate coming down? I don't know that. Lonnie said he didn't know that at the time. Again, you're dealing with a system that's never failed before. They just found a failure. So what can be done going forward? Is there a rule that needs to be made? Or do you just tell the teams, hey, we found this. This is a potential failure, and let them decide what's best for their driver, for their car. You know, all of these race teams have got some pretty smart people. And I think personally, if you go to them and say, here's the problem, find a solution, that's better than just one person saying, okay, here's what we're going to do. Sometimes the solution is black and white, right? Sometimes it's simple. We are going to weld a bar in here, or we are going to put a shield on here. Sometimes it's better, I think, to let the really smart people figure out what would be the best going forward. And again, you know, we've had one failure in how many times over the years. So they will look at it, and if there's a better mousetrap, so to speak, then that's what they're going to take a look at. And that's what they'll do next. But that is the reason that the parachutes didn't come out on John's car.
And there you have it.
The cause of the wreck initially started with the engine explosion. And when the engine exploded, it tweaked the frame components enough that it affected components of the parachute ejection system, deployment system. And with that, the car couldn't stop or even slow down. And I think effects of the explosion probably also may have damaged the steering, but I think John was trying to keep it under control. I think he had it to a point, and then once it hit the wall on the left, smacked that wall, that's when he got severely injured. And then, you know, the car went back across the track the other direction, smacked the other wall. It's horrific. But a lot of what this video said makes sense, but I think there was more to it. And that steering issue may have all been because of the engine explosion. And when the frame got tweaked. But, let me know what you guys think. What you guys think about what was said here on the cause, and what maybe you learn from other sources like myself. Share it down in your comments down below, and I'm definitely going to read them. Fixing all this can't save John, but it can save another driver. So hopefully whatever was learned in the investigation, my understanding is going to be shared with all the teams, and they can go from there and take it, run with it, and be proactive, and hopefully keep their drivers from meeting the same fate as John. We don't want to see anybody doing that. Look what happened, in NASCAR when Dale Earnhardt died. They put that under a fine-tooth comb and analyzed every second of it, and came up with what would have saved, what tools would have saved Dale, and they applied them across all the teams. So everyone was prepared, put new rules and regulations in. So hopefully something like that is going to happen with NHRA. I know probably some of it has started. I know the teams got info, so cars are probably being run through a fine-tooth comb during their inspection period prior to running down the track, which is good. We want to keep these drivers strong and healthy, and keep all the equipment strong and healthy. All right, I'm going to end it now. I'm going to end it right here. Thank you everyone for watching. I do appreciate all my viewers and everything, all your comments and helping and giving me likes and sharing and subscribing and all that, I'm going to have another episode out on Sunday. It's going to be something a little different. Hope everyone likes it. All right, everyone. Take care and be safe out there. We'll see you next episode. All right. I just wanted to pop back in here again quickly and share a couple more thoughts. Yeah, definitely. If that parachute would have deployed like it should have at the end of the race, he definitely wouldn't have been doing over 300 miles an hour when he whacked the wall. He would have been slowed down dramatically. And he probably wouldn't, he'd probably be racing today if it wasn't for that failure of the parachute. And but hindsight's 2020, and as they say, and I'm glad that NHRA came up with a legit reason and failure point that can be shared with every team out there, no matter if it's funny car or dragster or what level or pro stock or whatever. They can get it handled and keep this from happening again. If it happens again, it could be a lot worse. Someone could die. We definitely don't want to, watch a driver die. I've watched one die. I was watching the race when Dale Earnhardt died. That was no fun. But we got to keep this positive. They have an answer. They know what went wrong. And I think I agree with it. I think that's probably what really happened. And now they can fix it. and make the cars safer going forward. All right, I'm going to end this now for real. All right, guys, be safe out there. See you next episode.